What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again. I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 595 Rubber Dolls 2, which I've heard is it's just called that because it's like poor English and it's supposed to be Love Dolls 2. So that kind of makes sense. That makes more sense. But anyway, this chapter actually, this just makes the end of last chapter even weirder. Like, why did Meninas smack Lil Toto? And like, why did Pepe shoot Meninas? It doesn't, nothing, that's just not explored. Like, as far as Pepe's concerned, those two are just off somewhere. Like, we kind of get why Pepe's doing this. At the end of last week in the manga stream translation, he was like, apparently he wants to kill everyone in the vicinity and take all the credit for it, basically. But it's still really weird that it's just not, they're not seen at all. But anyway, we start with Hisagi versus Byakuya, and Byakuya's just kind of on the defensive, as you might expect. And Pepe starts going off on this long, typical bad guy style monologue, where he's basically talking about love and how fights are always sad because there's love involved. And he basically says, you know, fights always happen because of love. And, you know, again, like most villain monologues, I don't completely agree with it, although some of what he says makes sense. But he's like, you know, you fight because you've got love for your wife, for your children, for your parents, for your friends, for your master, or even for God. And then he's like, he's very melodramatic. He's kind of like, you know, faith is love, and he's just like, I tell you one thing, Pepe is nothing like I was expecting him to be, and that's not a good thing for me anyway. He's just not what I was expecting. But I actually don't mind him. Like, I think he's considering how much of like almost a Zamari clone he is. He's actually really quite a unique character. But anyway, you know, he believes fights to be sad, but that's also why they're beautiful, because the amount of love involved. But then we see the Byakuya, I think he stabs Hisagi in the stomach, and Hisagi goes down. And the Byakuya, you know, he's like, you know, I finished it. And he basically says that if your ability is to control people, you know, if I can make him unable to move, that's enough to counter your attack. And he basically seems to believe that by slashing the threads, Pepe's puppet has been cut off, but we find out that it hasn't. But anyway, Pepe starts mocking Byakuya, but he's like, you know, you're a real tough guy, and he tries to hit Byakuya with his move, which is called Love Kiss, which is the heart thing. And rather than just being like a single shot, he can actually move it like a laser, which is actually quite powerful. And the laser kind of comes out in front of Byakuya, and Byakuya cuts it down with his arm pucked home. And I really liked this bit. I thought this bit was really good, actually. Byakuya's like, you know, you can only control what has a heart, because we see that the buildings that got hit by the love kiss are now, like, melting almost. I love this bit, though, because Pepe's like, yeah, that's true, so why did you block it with your Zanpakuto toe? And Byakuya's like, oh, crap. And obviously, because Zanpakutos have hearts, they have minds, they have souls, Pepe now has taken control of the Zanpakuto toe. Now, this is kind of stupid. Like, I said I liked it, and I do. I really like this development, and that Pepe's managed to get the upper hand on Byakuya so easily. But the whole reason Byakuya was able to just no-sell Asnot's Sphere was because he said that he'd got a good relationship with his Senbonzakura again. He had to take a step back and look at the relationship. How the hell did he forget that his Zanpakuto has a heart? So, it's a little silly, but I can forgive it just because the sequence is really cool, and like the Zanpakuto just tries to ram him in the face, which is pretty cool. It's very reminiscent of the Zamari fight. But it's neat to see Byakuya in quite a bit of trouble already. You know that he can't even use his Zanpakuto, and that adds a new dimension to Zamari's power. So I'm calling him Zamari, to Pepe's power. I didn't expect. It didn't even occur to me that he might take over someone's Zanpakuto, which is really quite OP. And there's a blood splatter, but the next time we see Byakuya, I'm pretty certain he isn't actually hurt, which is weird. Pepe basically reveals that the reason he didn't steal anyone's Bankai is just because he has the power to steal a Zanpakuto pretty much whenever he wants. And you see his eye for the first time. Pretty much whenever he wants. So Byakuya just tosses Senbonzakura aside. We've already seen that he's quite pragmatic when it comes to this sort of situation. Because this is very similar to the Zavari fight. But anyway, Pepe's like, you know, why'd you throw it away? You've now given it a chance to be used by someone else who loves me. So basically, Hisagi loves Pepe, Senbonzakura loves Pepe, and now Byakuya's in a bit of trouble. So, you know, Pepe's like, you know, no matter how many times you try and attack Hisagi, he's just going to keep getting back up to fight for love. And so Byakuya and Hisagi clash again. And I have to say, this is actually a bit more. This is a more interesting fight than the Zamari one, purely because I just kind of feel Byakuya is already having more trouble. But he's blocking Hisagi's sword with his hands, so that's just how powerful Byakuya is. He's blocking Kazushini with just his hands, and he's kind of thinking through it. We finally get some justification for a Shinigami not using the extent of their capabilities. He says that he can't fight a Zanpakuto with just Hakuda, even though that's what he seems to be doing. And then he says, but if I use Kido, I might kill Hisagi. And then he says that if Pepe was just controlling Byakuya's arm, he could just slice it off, a la the Zamari fight. But, in this situation, he's lost Senbonzakura and he should have broken it before he lost it. However, Pepe suddenly ends up behind Byakuya and he uses Love Kiss and smacks Byakuya on the shoulder with it. Somehow, though, Byakuya still keeps fighting. It's not explained, at least just yet anyway. And Pepe's like, it's surprising that you can still defend yourself. Is your heart unable to feel love? We know that's just not true. So, there must be a reason. But anyway, Pepe's like, your mission is to die for me. I can't stand you won't receive my love, and I can't forgive you. And he puts his hands behind his head, brings them out again, and he draws a heart in the sky before... Oh my... What the hell is that? That is possibly the most disturbing thing I've ever seen. Basically, he's a big, fat, half-naked baby. That's kind of what he looks like. With a huge beard. But he's in Vollstandig, and it's Gudoero, which is the love of God. Considering how ridiculous this Vollstandig looks, I actually kind of have mixed feelings on it, rather than just hating it outright. The wings look really cool. I think the wings look really cool. And at least it's another unique Vollstandig. And I'm going to get into that in a minute. The wings are cool. They're kind of like... they're just like quite curved, and they're like kind of almost like a bit kind of spindly at the bottom. They have eyes in them, which is pretty neat. Pepe's glasses just seem to explode off of his face. His beard is now in 4 prongs, and then we get to the bit that is just weird. For some reason, he's just there in a man thong. He's not wearing anything else apart from his boots, and it's just like, why? Why? And I know why. It's because he's supposed to look like Cupid, some kind of demented, twisted version of Cupid. And that's the part I don't really mind. Like, I think the symbolism is actually quite good. It's quite unique and interesting that we've got this kind of evil version of Cupid who's just twisted and looks like a freak. But, yeah, so he's now in Vollstandig Gudoero, and it's actually kind of weird that he's already in Vollstandig. And despite the fact that Kubo explicitly had Askin say that Pepe was a monster, it makes me think Pepe is not going to be around for much longer, which is actually a huge shame. But anyway, Pepe then draws out this kind of heart whip, and he's like, I look so pure. And it's like, oh god. And he just looks so weird. He's so fat and half naked, and it's just like, oh my god. But he basically says to Byakuya, he's like, don't you feel like loving me now? And he uses love rope, so at least we're getting quite a few abilities for him. And he impales Byakuya with 3 of these ropes, so Byakuya is in some serious trouble. But while Byakuya is looking behind him, Hisagi comes up in front of him to finish him off. But Pepe, who's now floating in the air off of his little dish, says, don't kill him, I'm going to kill him with my love. And it's just disgusting. He's actually disgusting. He then pulls his bow and arrow out of his mouth. Don't ask me why, he just does. And his bow looks kind of neat. It's like it looks a bit like Cupid's bow. And basically, Pepe is like this demented, twisted, evil version of Cupid. And it's kind of a neat idea. I like the idea, I like the symbolism. He just looks super weird. But I can get past it just because I really like what it's supposed to mean. But just before he's about to fire his bow at Byakuya, he gets kicked in the face. In what is almost an identical panel to Choneng Po being punched in the face by Komamura. But anyway, Pepe goes flying. He's not dead, but he's it looks like it hurt him pretty bad, actually. But Byakuya turns around and he sees Kensei and Rose, which was pretty surprising. And that's the end of the chapter. They've both got blank eyes. They're both very clearly still zombified. However, they have 2 black markings down their face. Now, what can we take from this? Well, it's possibly quite bad, but it might be kind of neat. So, they're still dead, but the fact that they kicked Pepe and they have black markings on their face implies to me that they're fighting now for Miuri. Now, we saw that Miuri was making like Toshiro's face go black, and so possibly he's done the same to Kensei and Rose, but who knows, really. So, you know, their appearance could kind of mean one of two things. Either Miuri has managed to get every zombie on his side and has beaten Giselle, or Giselle and the zombies have beaten Miuri and the Arancars, and now for some reason she's kicking the crap out of Pepe. I actually think both of those are quite valid. Because honestly, it would just seem kind of weird for like Miuri to show up with these dead captains in tow, but he might do. It is Miuri. On the other hand, Giselle could have noticed that Pepe was setting Menenas and Lil Toto against each other to try and kill everyone. So she might be trying to get some kind of revenge. At the end of the day, I think it's probably going to be Miuri and the zombies showing up with the Arancars. I just hope that Giselle's not dead. What does this mean for the fates of the captains? The fact that Miuri's drug hasn't actually reversed the zombification really lends credence to the whole they might actually be dead. They might actually be dead and that's it, they're not coming back. So yeah, it's an interesting ending. Pepe's not dead, and I hope he doesn't die for a little while. I mean, he was really beefed up to be a monster by Askin's own admission. So I really think he should stay around for longer. I mean, we're already seeing some, you know, just of how much strength he actually has, because he was running rings around Byakuya. May I remind you, this is the same Byakuya who somehow screwed over Colonel Sanders, Nana Najku, and Candice Catnip without taking a hit. And as soon as Pepe comes in, Byakuya is completely screwed, has no Zanpakuto, has apparently taken a hit, although I can't actually see it, and then gets 3 love thingies through his chest. So yeah, he's in trouble in the fight against Pepe. I'm interested to see where it goes, and I'm looking forward to next week. This was a better week than last week, despite Pepe's weirder-than-hell transformation. It was nicely original, and like I said, I like the symbolism behind the creepy Cupid. And, oh yeah, about the Vollstandigs. It's interesting, again, that Pepe is called Gudoero or something like that. He, Asnot, and Master Masculine have all had complete transformations, and they've all had names. The only one that's kind of not fitting the bill so much is Kurge, who was called Biskiel. His wasn't so much of a transformation, and Colonel Sanders' was called Grimaniel. But his wasn't so much of a transformation either, unless I still feel maybe we haven't seen all of Colonel Sanders' Vollstandig. But that's for another time. So it's interesting, like Kangdu, BG9. We got screwed out of theirs anyway. Bambietta. You know, we saw our Candices, we saw their Vollstandigs, and they weren't complete transformations, and they didn't get names. So maybe, I don't know if this is an indication of Mask, Asnot, and Pepe's strength, or just Kubo likes these Sturmitters better than some others. I don't really know, to be honest. But, you know, at the end of the day, I wasn't expecting Pepe's Vollstandig so soon. I tell you what, if he does die very quickly, it's really going like the Zamari fight. But like I said, I think it's a bit more interesting than that one. Anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to do for this chapter. That's an 8 out of 10 from me. It's slightly better than last week. And actually quite a good chapter overall, I think. I thought it was interesting. The cliffhanger was interesting. And presents us with a couple of options for next week. So, what do you think happened? Let me know in the comments below. Is it Miuri coming back with them, or is Giselle coming back? And if Miuri's coming back, has Giselle been killed? That would be rubbish. If another Sturmitter gets off screen. What do you think of Pepe's Vollstandig Gudoero? And what do you think of the fight so far? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, guys. That'd be really great. The little button up here. I'd really appreciate your help. And give the video a thumbs up. But until next week, guys, I'll catch you later. See ya.